Let's see if it picks it up. Is it gonna pick it up at all? How nice would it be if it actually did? Let's go to our Restream tab. We're going to click on a couple other tabs on YouTube to see if you're still hating on me, YouTube. I would have set up the I like the classic interface, but alright, so Restream has the video. It says it's live to YouTube. Yeah, doubtful. Let's go to my channel and see, just because I hate this interface. Yeah, okay, so allegedly we're live. So let's, I'm going to kill YouTube, have a Restream monitor, and bring up the chat. Alright, so we have a chat. Roll it. Why not? Yes. Alright. Okay, so let me dig these screws out of here. We have an old computer here. It's not really that important yet. So last time we were working on one computer, and that computer's long gone, been picked up, finished. We were doing a upgrade Windows 7 to 10 for free with time, patience, and a few free tools. Give me that screw. There it is. So that's what we had worked on. Let's look here. Go ahead and zoom this out. Let it focus. We got another interesting thing too, as well, in the shop here, which is kind of cool. It might be hard to see, but it's over here just off screen. It's an all-in-one computer, talking through 2 SSDs in it. The RAM was maxed out when we got it, so and we also upgraded the processor, so it is an Optiplex, not this, the all-in-one, which is right here. It's a Dell Optiplex 9030 all-in-one, and it had an i5 4570S in it. We pulled that and put a 4790K. I know, what a waste, but it's an i7 instead of an i5. And if I'm not mistaken, let's take a moment and plug in our HDMI cable and make sure that it is indeed working, because that's what we're going to go to. I guess I should have did this before starting a stream, correct? Duplicate these displays. Let's check the there, we just unplugged and replugged in the source. Okay, finally. Okay, so we got it pulled up. So here's the, what did I call this thing? In Optiplex. 9030 all in one. So we got two SSDs, one in there, like one for the OS, one for like a scratch disk or whatever if we need to do something so it's not going to impact the main. Depends. We may turn it into the stream computer to free up mine. Of course, then again, maybe not. So we did upgrade from the 4570S, or what is it? 4590S to a 4790K. 4th gen, a little bit faster for the clock speed. Not sure what else is good about it other than the clock speed, and went from an i5 to an i7. Yeah, we got two solid state drives. Sadly, integrated graphics. I think what are the graphics on that? I didn't even look. So 4600, not bad. Definitely not a dedicated card, but it's an all-in-one. What do you want? All right, let's get back to this. So we have a computer here. It came in and the actual motherboard is gone, dead on it. So rather than replacing some older hardware, I mean, it's got PCI Express Gen 2. What's out currently? 4? 3, 4? I suppose they could get a new board. Let's see what it has. So, according to the back plate, which I don't have a lot of faith in the back plate, although could be said that it was made for the motherboard or just one that fits. It does say that there's two USB 2 ports or USB 3 ports, even though, see the SS there, even though they're not colored. On the front, it does have a card reader and a USB 2 port. G-Skill RAM. Let's see what we are even running in this thing. No sticker, so just stick a G-Skill. It looks like. Let's find out what it is right now. So it's DDR3 at least. Either 4 or 8 gigs of DDR3. No, I could have read the motherboard, duh. So yeah, we're not going to mess with this thing. But what we are going to do is get back a working computer. Okay, 1, we need a working computer. 2, we need their data. And that's why we have the all-in-one here. So we can go over how to do that. You can do a free trial of the software I'm going to show you, although I think it is limited. It will only, actually there's 2 pieces of software. They will only back up part of the software. So let's take a look at that for a quick moment while we're here. There's the ECUS to do PC transfer, and then I think there's a PC backup one. When you run this, you get some stuff that is outside. They try limited functions, continue using, so it kind of tells you what you can do here, or if you want to buy it. But we'll say continue using. Now, I did try image transfer, and did I do that or that? No, I did image transfer. Possibly useful if you had a license. Okay. we're not going to go with that. We're actually going to go with another software. Where is it? Let me find it on my drive. I want to see what it will do. Now this, I don't think is too much to pay. $11, like $11.47. It's in euros. So you're going to end up paying $11.47 for it. And yeah, I don't think that it is too much. Let's flip that off for the time being. So where are we? Nope, that's the podcast. Old stuff. Even older stuff. I know where it is. I also know where it isn't. Let's go date modified. Okay, so here it is. We found the program. We're going to take and run this as admin. Now this here, this would be useful if you are going to, if you have your computer working. If your computer is working and you want to do the upgrade from Windows 7 to 10. Or if you just want to reload your computer and not mess around with it. So let's go ahead. We'll get this installed. We are going to have to activate it, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and launch it. Oh yeah, is this going to show numbers if I type? And it will not show the email either. Let's see if my info is correct. Okay, so this was the one that's 10 euros or I think 11.47. This is where we want to back up data. However, this is only going to work in instances where, you know what, let's see if it would work if we plug in an external hard drive. Let's see if this will work with an external, which is the case that we're working on. Remember, we had a PC that was not working, and they're getting another computer, but they want their data, so we got to pull their data. True, with this get-up, you need other hardware. If your computer's working, you'll be good. If it's not working, is where you kind of get stuck with transferring, buying additional hardware. These cables used to be expensive. They're pretty cheap now, though, so. All it is a SATA to USB 3 interface. However, if you're running a small solid state drive with an adapter, it will work there. If you're running a 2.5-inch laptop drive, it will work there. Do they make 3.5-inch solid state drives? I'm sure they might have at one time, I don't know. But if you're running a big drive, something out of a desktop or perhaps an older all-in-one computer that didn't have, you know, options for this, or if they haven't switched over to using the 2.5-inch, some of the all-in-ones do still possibly have these in. You'll get real lucky if your SATA USB 3 cable will power this. Generally, they won't. You're going to get into a another setup where you are going to need to find a way to power your drive, and you're probably looking at something along the lines of getting your power adapter that will be Molex, and then you're going to need a Molex to SATA adapter. So there you have the power, but you still need the data for the drive. In this case, that would be our data line, and then we have one cable further where we would plug our SATA cable in, which this cable is fairly old, so it's only USB 2, but it would let us get our data from a 3.5-inch drive. And then USB, so you're using a split power and data connection. There are other cables, but why make everything all convoluted? It's basically both of these in one connection that lets you power it from like this plug here. It's just a simpler version of this. So yeah, if you're dealing with one of these, or you may have something like when I did the, what do I want to call it? I did the cloning speed test, doing it in like a dock where you can actually dock 2.5 or 3.5-inch drives, and we did the speed test to see doing it in a computer, and that thing was faster. Anyhow. Oh, excuse me. My voice is cracking a little from the cold. But here's our situation. We have a computer, dead, hard drive survived. They want their data saved. Let's see, can we plug it in and use the $10 version? This is something I didn't check out, but we'll do that now. I'll top on back over here and see. Where did you go? Okay, so indeed, if you're going with the $10 version, that's going to be for if your computer already boots. The next option from that costs a little more, but do I recommend it for a normal person? No. Go to your local independent repair shop. They will probably have a utility. They will probably back up your data for you relatively cheap if you had to pull your hard drive from your computer. So, not free if you have to buy software. However, you can get a free trial of this software. I believe it's the home version. I don't know if they give a free trial of the Pro version or not. Tell me I did this. Yes, I did. Okay. So we're going to run the other version, and why this is important for if you can't afford the Pro version, it's like, I think $57. Like I said, I don't recommend it for a normal person, but if you want to buy it, you want a good piece of software, I highly recommend it. Run it as admin when you do start it up. It gives you another option there, transfer data, backup. So let's back up. You can see that the interface is a little different though. We now have an option to select hard drives. with also a refresh this list button, instead of just selecting simply the user on this computer. We can also select the Windows directory, so let's try and find is there any visitor data? I don't know. When doing this, if you're using this one, G, make sure that your Windows directory matches. It should. If it can't find it, it will specify and ask you to locate it. Basically, you're going to look at the drive and point it to this directory. Select your users, select a backup location. We want to go to this PC. Yours will be different wherever you're going to back it up. And let's make a new folder. And hit OK. Date computer name / profile. This screen here you shouldn't find anything selected, that if there's nothing there for it, it should not be checked. So it's going to grab stuff that is kept. Now, if you know where you keep your data, and you're one of the people that for some reason comes into C and on the root of C has, a folder that you don't keep on the desktop, it may not get this folder. I don't think it'll back up custom locations, even if you did something like and sent a shortcut to the desktop. It'll grab that shortcut, but it's not going to grab that custom location. Oh, let's delete those, empty the recycle bin. So yeah, this is one piece of software to do a backup. You could try and find software to make a clone of the hard drive, and whatever you clone it to, and then plug that in as external. But we want to upgrade. Always, if you can run the media creation tool and have it work over your computer, that's great. If we tried to do a slight cleanup on the computer, and that had failed, trying to do the cleanup, trying to do a cleanup on the actual computer had failed. When we just did the basic, like Malwarebytes and a couple other utilities, even we went to the full extent on that computer, and I don't think it was so much of an infected computer thing as it was a partitioning scheme that Lenovo does, and how they have their, I think that computer did have the blue ThinkVantage button that you could press and access all your recovery functions. I think it was more of a partitioning thing. I could be wrong, but it did fail even after a full cleanup where we did a complete Windows repair. Still could not run Windows over Windows, which at that point, unless you're physically going and plugging in external media and copying over everything from pictures folder by folder, file by file, that's one way to do it. That's the manual way. This is a little less manual, so let's go through and get the stuff for our users. Additional folders. So okay, right here, this is where you would select extra files and folders. And in the case of, let's see if it shows up. It's in a custom location. Okay, so yeah, you could come in and grab something in a custom location. So it will do it, but it's a manual. It's not an automatic feature. Folders that you want to exclude, if you also want to do that, like say you already have your backups for QuickBooks in your company file and everything, you could go through and exclude the company file, the folders where that stuff is stored. We don't need to do that though. So let's hit next. It will give you a list of what it's going to do. This may take a bit. Hopefully they don't have too many large Steam games on there. Okay, now here's where this just came up. Here's where you may be waiting a little bit. And if you have a lot of data, on your computer, you're going to know that you have that data. 37.37 gigabytes is what we're backing up. We're sending that, and remember we're grabbing this data from our local disk G, which is the Windows disk that was pulled out of the broken computer, and we're sending it on over to the 480 gig disk. That we have in our all-in-one here. So we're going to hit launch and let it go. It'll start doing its thing. In the meantime, let's park our keyboard and mouse out of the way. Come back up to our camera. Get our trusty black mats. And this isn't so much as an upgrade as it is a clean install. But when upgrading the other way fails, there are other ways. If you can still manage to find a download link for the Windows 10, why not? Let's stress out the computer while we're working on it. That's what it's made to do, right? Computer, use it. I don't think any of this applies. No, you're not getting feedback. Maybe it does. I don't know if you can still do... Okay, so yeah, they're sending you over to get the media creation tool, and that's what we covered last time. So just a quick recap why we're doing this in the middle of the stream instead of the beginning. Because I thought of it now. We don't script these, we do it live. Okay, so last time we had a computer that we wanted to upgrade. We went through and ran ADW Cleaner, JRT, RKill, even though some of them have stopped with development, or they're planning to stop, I forget which is the case. We ran those and then did Malwarebytes, tried the upgrade, and it failed live on the air. Like, it seemed like it was going good. Did the reboot, started like it was going to boot up to Windows 10 and just failed miserably last minute. So the only other option was to attempt the same thing again, but finished the PC cleanup, where we do the Windows repair tool, and that is an awesome tool. I highly recommend you go buy it. You can do a lot of stuff with the tool. Tweaking.com. Right here. Go buy yourself a copy of this tool. So there is a free and a pro version of it. The features that you get for paying for a license is awesome. If you're going to be servicing a lot of computers, get yourself a tech license. They do, as it says, offer custom licensing. But yeah, so even after doing a cleanup with ADW, JRT Arkill, Malwarebytes, and a whole suite of other tools, and then repairing Windows, and then running the media creation tool, it still failed miserably. So what's left at that point? After, if you do all that and it fails, your computer isn't upgrading. Well, that's what we're doing here today. We're finding a way to back up. If your computer's booting and you tried that method, then you should be able to go in and you can do, not this method we're doing here, but same process, but you're running the $10 version instead of the $57 version. You would run the home version and back up your actual computer while it's booted. Once you have your backup, even if you have to back it up to the hard drive that you're working on and then transfer it to external media, that's fine. And that's where it's going to leave us with what we are doing here and now, which I do have it up. Let's pull it up over here. So I just made myself an ISO to burn to disk of the current version of Windows 10 1909, and we used the media creation tool to do that, the same tool that we tried to do the upgrade this PC with that failed. Now when you're doing this, you can create the ISO, or you can take and create yourself install media to install Windows with. So here's our 10. This is Windows 10 1909 that we have on here, and that's what we're going to be using today to install the computer. We're going to take an extra step that you might not necessarily do. Did that finish? There's no way. Backup job is finished. Oh, we're on USB 3, okay. That explains it. Let's go check our properties. $37.3 gigs, that is a lot of data. Okay, so we're going to use our Windows 10 1909 that we created with the media creation tool. Now, there's a few, even if you made the ISO instead of creating the USB media, there is a way to make a USB installer. Although you can make it with like Rufus or Yumi and have other tools and media on it, I would recommend doing it with the media creation tool. It makes a legitimate, like, actual install media for Windows 10. Not that the other one doesn't, but let's go look. Let's search. Let's search this PC and see if we can find Yumi. Let's try downloads. Does it exist? It does. Run as admin. Okay, so this is where you would select your USB drive, and then after that, so let's plug one in just to let the computer see it. And like I said, this is going to do a similar thing to the Microsoft Media Creation tool. This would be so ESD USB, and you can have it take and format it to whatever I would. If I was doing this, I would format it, unless it was one I'd already created and had other tools and other installs for like Linux and whatever else on it, recovery software, antivirus software. So I'd format it and then select what I wanted to do. So here's where you would select Windows installers. And let's see if it works. Boot manager. Let's browse for our ISO. We're not actually going to create this, I'm just showing you that. So, and it went in green, so it is good. So chances are this would create a Windows installer. However, when doing the Windows ones, I just prefer, me myself, using the media creation tool. Why? I don't know. Because I do. I just prefer it that way. So we have our, oh, it's plugged into the computer. Sorry for the bongs. Alright, so we have our data backed up. Let's get that out of the way and put this over here. We need to lay out, what, one or two more trusty almost all black mats, and throw a replacement. Now, this was requested, so a very clean system. This is an Optiplex 7010 small form factor, around the same generation as what they had. However, I think it's a little newer, not a lot newer, a little newer. We can reuse the RAM, possibly, see if it is going to match up, although we'll have a single-sided DIMM and a double-sided DIMM. But they did want to reuse some of the stuff if possible. That way to avoid paying for unnecessary upgrades. And if we can use the RAM, if it will match up and run, it may be possible. We don't know yet. We haven't looked, haven't got that far into it. This is what we're going to do our install on now. After we do our install, we're going to have our data backup and compare our data backup. We're not going to do that online though. That's long and boring, but you got to compare your pictures folder, what all folders you have in there, and compare it to the source drive. So plug in one in, and we won't plug it in as an external. It's actually plugged in into this system as an internal in this other drive bay here. Alright, so your computer that had whatever operating Windows 7 on, or 8 or 8.1, this applies. If it did, what you're going to need to do is take and get it ready to where you have your data, pull your data off, get it backed up, have everything ready to go. Boy, did we even check this? That would be quite interesting. So this currently has 4 gigs of RAM. What and who are you? So although we're not using the same computer, we are doing an actual upgrade. If I'm not mistaken, this, you can see, it's actually, if the light isn't too crazy, where is that? Will it even focus that close? That's a great question. So hopefully you can see that that says Windows 7. If not, well then, let's back it up. We'll do digital. So Windows 7 Pro. So we do have a license on the computer. It is a Windows 7 computer that is going to be very capable of running Windows 10. So let's go ahead and get this going. The media creation tool failed in the case of our other computer, so we're going off that premise that it has already failed. Upgrading is not an option, so we did the data backup. We're going to do the clean install now. Just to avoid rebooting and powering down, let's attempt to make more problems for ourselves than need be. This is going to be interesting because we have our... Yes, very interesting indeed. Where are you, DisplayPort cable? You are hiding somewhere, I just do not know where. We're going to have to get that one back after the stream. We'll steal it from the Mac right now. Alright, so we're going to work on getting this set up. We have our 2.5-inch data drive for whenever this is done, and we have the backup that we did of this drive over on the actual all-in-one computer. Now, you could do the hacky thing of just plug your drive in if it's going into a new computer, in this case, and hope it works. Don't do that though. If you're actually switching computers, don't do that. can I just skip over, can we gloss over the steps of using the media creation tool to make the USB installer? Select make an USB installer instead of an ISO. If you have the ISO, you can use Yumi or Rufus to create your USB installer that we're going to boot here in a moment. I don't think I want to test this actual. We're not risking that. Not worth it, not at all. Give me a moment to get a mouse and keyboard so we can actually interface with this computer, and we're going to have to switch off of our all-in-one. It's like we've done this quite a few other times, but they're split up and it's among many streams, and this one would be the next one in the line of from what we did last time to this time, so it puts some of the information closer together. Unless we want to get real crazy and do a real long one where we do all this and actually attempt to clean up in an upgrade, let it fail, like a 7-8 hour stream. Not highly sought after wanting to do, but if we got to, we'll make that one when we get there. Okay, too long. Goodness, all these cables are insanely long. You know what, we'll just pull the one out of our all-in-one and use it in the meantime. Alright, so we now have a display cable. Mouse, keyboard, display. All we need other than that is a nice power cable, if you exist. Now remember, we are not going to a booted computer, so we may not even be able to see this in real time. Hopefully we can, because we're using OBS as our monitor. We're going to try and get to our BIOS and see. And this is going to take a lot of activating, deactivating the source. Alright, so we're already into our BIOS. Let's go ahead and take a look. System info. And we can find out. So what is our RAM? So we have two 4 gig modules installed. Total of 8 gigs, which would not be, I mean, really that's not going to be a bad amount for Windows 10 install. Alright, back to the keyboard. They really set it up legacy. Alright, don't do that. We're doing the install over. I was going to trust the... No. Looks good, although, is it really that time? No. It is 8:07, so let's go ahead and set that time. That's right. We'll do 8:08 p.m. Hit apply. AHCI drives. Okay, at most, you know, we'll leave them all enabled in case they want to add anything in the future. Smart. Alright, we're going to hit exit and get on F12 on our keyboard. Remember, OBS don't like the source changing like it does, different resolutions and whatnot. We're going to tell me it got it. It did and froze. Nice. Oh, unheard of. So let's boot up our SanDisk. Now keep in mind, for right now, we're not installing to what's going to be our boot drive. We're installing to a drive that actually came with the system right here. We're going to get it installed. We're killing a couple birds with one stone in this. Even though it takes a little longer, that's what we're here doing. We're doing the work. You may find yourself in this situation where you're upgrading to a new refurbished, recertified, remanufactured, is that a word for the PC industry? Where you're using a system. Did they write what they installed on this? So it's a Dell 7010. Let's look at the so we're going to go with 10 Pro. That was a Pro key, correct? Am I wrong in saying we had a Pro key on this? 7 Pro. Okay. Very good. Very good, very good. So we'll go with 10 Pro, we'll hit next, and let's take a look at our partitioning setup. Now, you could try this, you may run into a similar problem. But let's go back to the screen we were just on and take a look at it. can we still go back? Install Windows and keep files, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you were running your hard drive, okay, that you intended to run, the original one out of the computer, if you were running that, you could try that top option. I'm not doing that in this case, but that is your upgrade option, running it from install media versus the media creation tool. It's going to do a very, very similar thing. Actually, almost an identical thing, but that's not what we're after here. So let's click on this option. Okay, so this computer, it was just hardware, kind of a bare bones setup. As we can see here, we have, it's all unallocated space. There's no boot partition, no system partition for Windows, nothing. Or no system partition, no OS partition. None of that is there right now. So let's go ahead. Now you could set up different partition sizes if you want. That's one way to do it. We'll hit refresh. Actually, I wanted to hit cancel. So you could click on new to create a new partition and set the size that you want. If you say you wanted a data partition on the same hard drive, very possible. In this case, since we're using the whole drive, we'll just hit next. And we're actually going to hide me wherever I be. And let this run through. So this is going to take a few minutes. Well, and look at our source. This computer is super quiet and very clean overall. Where we got it, I don't know their method, but it looks like it came out of a clean room or a lab with how clean it is, or maybe they just cleaned it that well. Or maybe it was rarely ever used, who knows. An older computer, around the same generation, maybe a little newer than their AMD setup they have there. I'm not going to go into when it was built or anything. We do that enough. We do those hijinks every other time. Sorry, let's flip back to our repair screen. I don't know how to hide that part of Streamlabs. I want to make it a little bit bigger. Well, you know what? We will check it out at a later point. Just let our install finish. Quit trying to mess with the stream while you're streaming. It doesn't work. Give me a moment. I gotta get a drink. My voice is dying. So we can't change those settings when we're live. Appearance. How about notifications? You know what? Let me just hit done on the settings so we don't kill this inadvertently. If we were in Windows, I would try making the resolution bigger on that, but for some reason I just don't think it's going to refresh during the install. Perhaps. Can I full screen this so I can see what we see? You can actually pause it? Cool. Learn stuff every day. We'll try that at some point. We will try. Alright, so we've moved past installing updates, finishing up, and we're going to get our reboot prompt. Let's click on reboot now. It goes to black, and we will pull out our USB install. While that's happening, just to keep it a little more interesting, let's see if we'll enable the front cam link so we can see computer that we're actually working on. Is it locked? It is. Okay, so here's the computer that we're actually working on. We'll drag it up here out of the way a little. So what computer we're working on, we have the keyboard, mouse here, along with what's on screen. We'll put them together virtually anyways. If nothing else, virtually we'll have to do. Okay, so right now, just for a few minutes, and to help with time. Time is always a factor, isn't it? Isn't it though? Time. It never stops. And just for the sake of time, let me get, because we're plugged in. No, we're not. No, we're not. All right. I still have access to the all-in-one. I'm just going to do a quick comparison of our user folder. Our actual user folder compared to the folder from the hard drive from the old computer, or the data backup, my mistake. Pictures were the important part. That's what they wanted saved. 1,189 items in theirs, and I'm not going to show any of this on screen because this is people's data. And we'll go to our backup. $1,187. So we're going to have something different. iPod photo cache. What is different? So that jumped up one. Camera roll is missing. So our camera roll, and there's going to be one other one. What comes stock? It's saved pictures. Saved pictures. Where are they? Okay, so the pictures folder, the most important thing for this computer, they are intact. The number's intact. Clicking on a few random folders, everything is intact there. If you're doing your data, you did your data backup and you're checking it, you will know. You undoubtedly, you'll know if everything of yours is there or not. Okay, so they have an old version of Office. They had some music on the desktop and a few other shortcuts. Byte fence. I wonder if that's a legit one. The legit one or the actual malware junk one. 5150. Okay, more music. Everything, yeah, everything's good. The size, reported backup size to my backup, everything came through. Everything looks good. I will take it into further examination at a later date. Like I said, not on stream. I wanted to go through it quick to see if all their picture folders were there, the desktop data, the documents, downloads. Everything seems the same. Comparing on the all-in-one. So now we will wait for our computer to boot up. And at what stage do we find ourselves? We're going to have to set up a user account at some point, I believe. Yeah. If I have it, my way, or the way that I trust more so. Not saying you can't do Windows over top of Windows and end up with good results. You can. If you go out and you get a brand new computer that hasn't been used, you boot it up and it has, say it came with 7, and you want to upgrade this PC with the media creation tool. You could install Windows over that and probably end up just fine with a new installation. However, when it's a well-used, well-loved, well-used, well-worn-in installation of Windows 7 or Windows 8 or 8.1, and you're upgrading to 10, this truly is the best method. Do a clean install. It is not outside the scope of possibility for even your most average person. Some of these streams are long, convoluted, but the info is there, so check it out. Don't be afraid to ever attempt it. Of course, then again, if you break your own stuff, I leave that on you. You're not holding me or Flat Earth Santa responsible. Or not guilty. Alright, so we're just a momenting. Keep in mind, we are running from an old 3.5-inch spinny hard drive. We're actually going to have this computer boot from this hard drive. But like I said, the data needs, it's got to be compared one-to-one. Going through the pictures folder will take a while. Another way, after you have your data backup, and I don't have it hooked up to show you right now, so we use my computer as an example. You can literally go in when you have the fresh install of Windows 10 on your computer, get your data backup, which is going to be under however you set it up. If you set it up with a username, your username, and then your date, you'll click the date, you'll click on the folder with the date on it, click on archive, and then it'll be laid out just like this: desktop, downloads, documents, the whole way through. Click on pictures and go in. Control A will highlight all your folders and all pictures that aren't in folders. Control C would copy them and then drag them from your backup media over to your computer. That's the manual way. Remember, we're doing the non-manual with software. But if there's something different, it will tell you the differences and if you're going to replace the file. But that's just even longer and convoluted to go about doing it that way. So let's take a look at the other way to do it. Okay, so allegedly this thing is going to be talking. If it is, apologies, my friend. Let me turn it off. Actually, I don't think sound will come in because we're not using sound for that. Wait, yes. Yes, we're going to skip. We're going to bring up another one in just a minute here. We're going to put, I don't have internet, which is fine. Continue with limited setup because we're going to do a local account for now. And for now, let's do that. We're going to have 0 password for now. Remember, a local account. Device activity history. No. I don't know how many computers they have. I don't want to mess anything up for them. Except because we don't have an option to continue forward. Except. And this should be about there. It's going to take us 2 windows. Yeah, they're getting things ready for us. Thank you, Microsoft. Cortana, we appreciate it. What are they telling us again? This is a desktop, not a little mobile processor, so it might take several minutes. Okay, well, in case you don't, we're going to pop that up. I want it right dead center. Hopefully that kills the username. If you're doing a setup, you shouldn't expect to see a big black monitor over the middle of your screen. But here, we're doing that, like I said. For some stuff, you don't have an option. Like when we did the backup, no option. Alright, and we are up to a working let's plug in our internet. Actually, you know, first I want to see what devices are there. Dang, Windows, you got them all. However, we may have some Microsoft Basic Display adapters, so we do not have our Ivy Bridge or whatever Canyon afterward. We may not have that Intel HD graphics in. There is definitely not a graphics card in there. 3475S, not a bad CPU. So some of them are going to have generic drivers. We'll remedy that by going to Dell. And this is going to take us to the last part of our little presentation here. We will let me see how much room is left on my media, on my drive. Oh, yeah. Let's unplug that one and plug in the other one. Okay, is there enough room for their backup? Indeed there is. We'll take it from SSD to okay, we have a couple minutes here while that copy's over. In the meantime, let's that's right, we need internet. Internet is going to pop us back to another screen, so if we flash a name out there, we do. Not intending to, so. And you know what? It's a name. You're not getting data. You're not getting passwords. You're not getting addresses or nothing like that. So if you do an offline account and then plug in internet or connect wirelessly once you get to your Windows desktop, it's going to throw you back to the setup because they want you to finish setting up. And you actually put skip for now and it just feeds you back here to this. So let's go. And right away we know we're going to need our video is one. We're going to save that. Another one that we're going to get to ensure everything's going good. It looks as though we have audio and Ethernet. Let's get our chipset. Last update date, 27th December 2019, so that is fairly recent. Let's look at this one. So that's fairly recent also. We will download, save, and download, and save. So there's the chipset. We're going to go through a couple more. Is that only for the hard drive? There goes. Okay, so even before we got to install a driver, it seems as though Microsoft found the driver for, let's deactivate and reactivate. It done. It seems as though it found the driver and gave us a bigger resolution, which is even harder to see now. I'm going to go ahead and get the rapid storage technology, save it. Mouse, keyboard are, do we need them? This is a desktop, it's not a laptop. Network. What do they have for network? Okay, now let's take a look inside this thing for a quick moment. We'll flip over to our A5100. I do not see any spots for, I don't see Wi-Fi installed anywhere on this. And let's go back to the computer. We're going to actually click on the network to see, okay, so it is only plugged in, and yet one other place that we can check is under network adapters to see. So we have all these options and then just our lone gigabit network connection there, the Intel one, I believe. We don't have wireless in this computer, so we can ignore any wireless drivers. Let's see when the most recent update was. 23rd December 2019. Likely we're running a driver similar, like it, the Microsoft one, who knows when it was last updated. We're going to get the one from Dell. Even though it's working, I prefer to install the ones from the manufacturer, but that can end up in a bad situation, which I hope to demonstrate. We're going to have to get two cameras running to show you, but we're going to show you here in a little bit how it can end up very bad installing drivers from the manufacturer. Let's get a BIOS. So we're going to download this one, but this one I want to save as the name that it's giving me to the desktop so I know which one is the BIOS file. Which one do we go with for audio? Why not? Let's click to save it. Let these finish downloading. We'll get a bunch of prompts there. And before we go and install all these drivers, which you would have to do, if you likely going to have to do if you reinstall Windows on your computer. Alright, everything seems to have finished. Let's pull this down. Yep, it did find the Intel HD. Alright, that is that. We have our drive with our, how do I want to say it? Our backup program on. We will install it. Hey, we have front USB 3 ports. Let's try them. We'll try one for our drive. Alright. Put that back in a moment. actually, I think we're out of line in that pass statement. I think we're messing with a lot of drives here. Okay. Oh my goodness. Alright, let's find our backup. Of course, wrong one. Alright, we have that. I'm checking for the program that we're going to. Well, that would be 7. Let's grab it from our other drive. I know it's on there. Alright, 250. Replug it. And we are going to hide all of these for now. Pro and home. Alright, home should indeed. That's too close to our stream deck. We don't want to do that, dummy. Don't do it. Alright, and here is our computer. So let's go ahead and we have our home edition. We did use 7 Pro. So we're going to go ahead and run that. This is going to be tough. Just the size of resolution. Let me try and change this in is it done? And finally we'll click yes. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. That's just super small. When you can't see, you can't see. Alright, we probably just blew stuff right up. It's going to be up off the screen, so we may need to change the resolution size. Alright, finally, we have our Windows 10 install finished. We have drivers to install, but we can do that on our own time. You do that in your own time. We want to restore our data. Now, we have to point our software to our actual backup that we did. There's our backup config file. Now we want to select which backup and get the same thing, and we'll hit next. We're going to let it check what it checks by default and hit next. Next, and finally oh boy, keep the folder. And this is where you can make a choice. Do you want to keep the original dates of the folders, meaning when they were modified, when you downloaded the stuff, when you created this album and put these pictures in? Do you want to keep the dates of when it was created, when it was modified, or do you want the new dates for it? You don't always, those attributes or properties don't always copy over. Most of the time, but not always. So that's where you would make that choice if you want to copy something over. We're going to go ahead and let our data restore. Again, we're running on USB 3, so it's counting down through the data fairly quick. Most of it is photos. And then we'll have one more profile to do, which is the visitor, user, public, whatever it is, one of those. I think that's what they called it. So it is counting it down fairly quick. We'll flip off of it for a moment. So other than buying this program, which the home one, you can run it and do backups. I'm trying to think what the limitation was on it. Do I still have it installed on the Dell, or did I uninstall it? Let's take a look. Okay, so if you don't do the trial version of Fabs, if they still offer it, if you do minimum the $10 version and your computer runs, that's the situation we're talking about, not where the computer died completely. That situation is what we're dealing with here today. Computer's dead. We can put their hard drive into a new computer, reinstall Windows. First, we had to do the data backup. We're getting there. If your computer does boot and you're able to back up your data while your computer is booted, the home version is more than enough for you. It will grab all your data in the folders where they are. No issue whatsoever. After that, pull your data out, as long as while it's going and you look at the little log report of after the job's finished, the backup. After it's finished, you'll have the log file that you can look at. You'll have the stats from when it ran, the log of when it ran then, telling you if there were errors or anything. If there was, look at it. You may have to copy that stuff manually and get your data back up copied to media aside from the hard drive for the computer. Reinstall Windows versus doing the upgrade. That's basically your other option. If the upgrade this PC option doesn't work, do a clean install, get your drivers, restore your data, and you will be a much happier camper. Now, a step or so I left out in between. You could, at any point before restoring that data, which was already done, you could have found your data, did a right click on it, scan with Windows Defender, scan with Malwarebytes if you have Malwarebytes anti-malware removal tool installed. You'll have a right-click option to scan your data. Scan that data, or when you plug it in as on the whatever media you have it transferred to, scan it on the computer you have it plugged into as an external, or the whatever form of media you're using to move the data. Plug it in, give it a scan to make sure it's clean. This did go through on the all-in-one while we were working on this thing, so that's fine. Alright, and let's get rid of this window. We have a little over 8 gigabytes left for this program. You can check around, like literally it's a Google result away of finding a backup and recovery software. There's many programs. If you have an old spare computer, you can build yourself. There's a Linux distro just for cloning hard drives. Many ways to do it. There's the old manual way. Maybe you're a person that keeps all your data on an external drive already. If that's the case, and all your data is already on that external, you're good. Just unplug the external, make your USB installer, and install a clean copy of Windows 10. When you are at the screen though, remember where it said unallocated space, at that screen you're going to want to delete any partitions are there. You're going to have one for system, one for the OS, one for reserved, which would I think is your recovery, and then possibly one or two other partitions depending on the brand of your computer. Highlight all of them and then go down to the options in the bottom and click delete. Very, very easy. Do that after it's all one part. It all joins to one partition. As you delete each partition, it'll all become one. When it's all one and says unallocated space, then just click on next, and your Windows 10 install will complete, and you're good to go. Come back and restore your data, and we're counting down the final steps. Awesome. USB 3 is wonderful, even like Gen USB 3.0, 3.1, Type-C, all of it. Thunderbolt 3. Just amazing with data transfer speeds compared to USB 2. USB 2 would have made this stream like easily an hour or two longer. Okay, so here's a perfect example of something I was talking about. When you do your data backup and then you do the restore, we're just going to keep the newest. So there's one warning. And that was the thing that just popped up there asking this question. To verify, let's scroll up through our list and see if there's anything highlighted. Edge export HTML. Users guide from page 41. So that's just for our Edge profile, I think. Is that what it said? Export Edge HTML. Alright, so that's good. Let's click exit. Boy, are there people here? Is it people? Persons? No, it's a truck. Okay. I thought there was people there. I say, no, don't look. And as you can see, it puts your stuff back where it goes. Puts back your wallpaper. 100% I believe the program is worth a measly 10 euros or $11.47 some odd cents. Buy it. even the home version, if your computer boots and you can get to Windows, you can't beat it. It is so very, very usable. Give the guy some support. It's a great piece of software. I like it better than anything that I've ever used over any amount of time. It is 100% my favorite piece of software for backing up. There's other ones that I use to recover, like formatted hard drives and stuff like that. But as far as general, all-around good software, Fab's Auto Backup is one of my favorites. So our data's back. We have one further step, which is we need to get this drive here, our mechanical spinny drive, swapped out for the SSD boot drive. At this point, with everything we have here, which we can't approach it going by everything we have here, got to approach it for a normal person. At this point, you should have your stuff installed on your drive the way you want it to be. Honestly, I could probably do two things right now. One, just install their drive, because I have a restored copy of their drive here with all the data that was backed up. I could install their original drive, reinstall Windows, and then restore it back up from the external hard drive back to the SSD with it installed as the operating system drive. Or B, I could take this drive and their operating system drive to our all-in-wonder, what is that thing, Acer over there, or possibly even the Dell. I just have to install it still, and do a clone this mechanical spinny drive over to the SSD. They're both 500 gig drives, so it would fit, it would work. Even if the SSD was smaller, cloning would still 100% work. So that's where that is. Now we're going to take a moment. Give me a moment to plug back in over here to the new all-in-one. For right now, I'm actually going to shut this down. We do want to get the SSD installed. So now that that's shutting down, I guess we'll flip up to this one, get the wide view. We need to go over to our Dell again and plug in as an external. Let's see if it picked it back up. Indeed, it did. Hold on a minute now. Deactivate, activate. What are you saying to me? That you're not going to work? Done. Ah, it was blacking out the screen. Okay. What did I say before about that driver thing? You're going to install drivers on your own. Okay. It's this camera? Okay. Let's take and give it a moment here. We're going to set up another scene. We're going to flip. Okay, we're at the 920 there. You can see the all-in-one. We have that, but when we go to this repair, let's go ahead and add in it's our 922. Let's add in another source for right now. We want a video capture device. Add source. I'm going to add our 920. Logitech and shrink it down. Drag it up here. We'll cover that up. Alright, and we'll get rid of that soon enough. You can see the computer I'm working in front of. We got a wireless mouse and keyboard, and also see the computer from the webcam here pointed at it. What we're doing now is we're going to show. I just got this set up, got 2 SSDs installed in it, the 16 gigs of RAM, did the processor swap. Running tip-top, running good, clean Windows install, only a few pieces of software installed on it. And for right now, we'll look at this PC, and when I'm going to take the memory card from my actual camera, I have my A6300 right here. We pulled the memory card from it. It's going into, you can see that it popped up there, A6302. That means, it's my second card. I have 2 cards for each camera. Well, more than 2, but they're all numbered 1, 2, 3. It works great. From putting the card into the card reader on the side, it mounts, everything works. The driver's there. We can browse the card, choose what happens, open folder to view files. We can see that there's our Sony memory card. I'm going to knock this off the counter, so we'll put it over here out of the way. Now this is somewhere down the line after you get your Windows 10 installed and you may be installing drivers. Let's do this quick as well too. That's so annoying, that keeps popping up. We want to switch anyway. Oh, they don't make us decide that. So let's go to Optiplex. 9030 all-in-one drivers. We're going to go here, and we can see that we have Windows 10 64-bit selected on the computer on the screen here. Let's go to, is it chipset? Okay, yes, right here. So this is for the Intel chipset on the computer. We have the Intel Management Engine Components installer, boom, and then we also have this O2 Micro memory card reader driver that was last updated the 11th of September 2019. That is, pay attention to the name, O2 Micro OZ777 blah 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 blah. Read that there. Let's pull this up and do a direct comparison. So where is our O2 Micro OZ777 blah blah blah? It's our card reader driver. We're going to take and install, nope, I pulled my card quick. We're going to take and install this driver because it's not, the driver we're using is old. It wasn't the one caught by Windows, but it was one that I actually had to download, and I will show you where. So let's do the install of this. This is the most recent for Windows 10 driver for this card reader on an Optiplex 9030 all-in-one computer. So there we go, it's installing. And the reason I wanted to bring this up to make note of it is if you're doing a 7 to 10 upgrade, you have older hardware that was meant for running, came out in the era of Windows 7. Okay, you may run into this. Likely you will. You may run into it in another computer, fix it up or repair a situation. So let's click finish. That driver, funny enough, does not require a reboot. We're going to go ahead. Let's go to this PC, and we should see our SD card does show up. It pops up on screen. I want to make sure we can actually see this. And so we can. You can see that my card is all the way in here. It's sticking out just the edge. So that's our driver. Let's go ahead, and we're all done. We're all done with our memory card. I'm going to go ahead and close out the folder. I suppose we could look at this PC since we didn't actually open the card up, but we can see it there. And what we're going to do is eject it and pay attention. Bang! So that is the most recent driver updated for Windows 10 64-bit, and we get a stop code, blue screen of death error, internal power failure. That is the correct driver for my my card reader device on the Dell Optiplex 9030 all-in-one computer. That driver, it's direct from the manufacturer, and this is what happens. Now, you can install your card, pop it into the computer to get your pictures just fine, but you cannot eject it. So we gotta let the blue screen restart our computer. It's coming up. We'll pull up the web page again. Once this comes up, is the screen refreshing in OBS? We're not. It is. Okay, finally. Those boot screens are hell. It just does not like them. Alright, so let's restore our pages that were open. Back to Dell. We're going to go to category. We want chipset. So let's expand this instead of download. We're going to click on this older versions here. This one from the 23rd of July 2015. I'm going to click on that, and you can see that we have this chipset driver FFXJM Win32 30852A00 EXE. We also have, in our downloads folder, we have that same chipset driver FFXJMW and Win32 30852A00 EXE. I'm just not showing file extensions yet. Now you're thinking, oh, this is nuts. Maybe it's because you didn't reboot or you installed a driver over top of a driver. If you uninstall all drivers for the device and then reinstall it with this O2 micro driver, it will still blue screen. We just recovered from blue screen, okay? Actually, let's pop in my memory card. Alright, memory card back in. There you can see it came up on screen. Let's go back to this PC. That way we're not, it's mounted, but it's not. As soon as we eject it, blue screen again. It's the internal power error. So we'll let this restart and do its thing. And you may have this error. If you do, maybe I'll put a note in the actual video. And hopefully this helps somebody else out there. Alright, our computer is restarting. Alright, we're back up. Alright, here's what we want to do. For this particular problem, we're going to go ahead and right click our start, open up our device manager. What we want to do is go in to storage controllers. We're going to take and open up our card reader. Go to driver, and we're going to roll back the driver. Previous versions of the driver perform better, yes. Now there is another driver. There's the Microsoft, whatever driver Microsoft finds for this device when you first install Windows 10, and I installed just a clean copy of Windows 10 1909, the newest version out. The basic driver, or generic driver that it installs, doesn't really detect the card on, like, upon boot up. Like, you have to come in to your device manager and click on action and rescan whatever term it is. Let's close this and get it out of the way so I have the correct terms. You got to come into Action and click on Scan for hardware changes. Let's go here. We're going to go to drivers. We already did the rollback. You could also do uninstall. Uninstall will take you back to whatever one Microsoft found for it. So let's go ahead and scan for hardware changes. So it finds the Bayhab Tech Integrated MMC SD controller. Right now, I want to go into my downloads, and we're going to run this chipset driver for the card reader. And funny enough, it is for the O2 Micro OZ77, but it's just an older driver version. We will install it. And again, where we got this from was open up our browser. History, recently closed, 2 tabs. Will it take us there? So when you're looking at the card reader driver, which would be under chipset, hit the drop down arrow by O2 Micro. You have this older versions. Go ahead and click. Or I suppose you could view full driver details. This is the recommended one, the one that crashes stuff. We're going to come down to version, and this is the, we can see we have 30858 for this version up here, and then we have 30852. We have AOO and AO2 up here. Now, I have some thoughts about this that I haven't really covered yet, but I was trying to get my card reader working so I could eject the dang card without blue screening the computer. So this is as far as I've gotten with it. You may run into a problem like this with your computer, who knows. So when we click here, this is where we will get to this file, and we can download. Again, if you have an Dell Optiplex 9030 all-in-one, and it exhibits the behavior of when you eject an SD card, it blue screens with an internal power failure, error, blue screen of death. Get to your chipset driver, the O2 card reader, go for viewing full details, go down to version, click the drop down on version, and you can get this older version that is this chipset driver FFXJM WN3230852A00EXE. That's the file you would want to download, which you'll see there's 2 copies of it now because we just downloaded a second one. Date modified. So we have this one and this, they're both the same. One is from around 5 o'clock today, this one is from just now. We're going to delete that one. And we'll fire this one up. I think, did we already do, am I being dumb? Did we already do this and it's just sitting here waiting on me? I did. So we'll hit next. We're going to let it install. No, I think I did update my BIOS on this already. That's what I was thinking it was the BIOS version. Alright, closed. That, let's close our web browser, close our device manager, and now we're going to open up this PC and see if our driver is working. We put our card in, our card does pop up. You can see our card's there. Let's attempt to pull the card, and the computer stays on. There you go, we like that one. I dig that. The computer staying on in case I'm working with some of the pictures I just pulled off of My memory card is much better than the eject your SD card, blue screen, restart, then start your work method. I wasn't preferring that. So yeah. If the most recent up-to-date drivers exhibit this behavior or some other weird behavior, Wi-Fi connecting and then disconnecting, reconnecting at random without you even moving how far you are. Say you're right beside your router and your Wi-Fi will, you connect and it disconnects, reconnect, disconnect, or just no signal at all. There's other stuff to check on, but also try older driver versions that are still compatible with your operating system. That's always a possibility. We have a bunch of drivers and an OS update to do on this thing too, but we're gonna end the stream there. Quick recap. Upgrading Windows 7 to 10 with the media creation tool. This is going to be fun. I'm not good at organizing these cameras. Doing Windows 7 to 10 with the media creation tool seemed like it was going to be great. Bang, 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 right through. Bing, bang, boom, done. On the Lenovo laptop, failed last minute. And that's why we continued this today. We ended up doing a data backup on a similar situation. They needed an upgrade from 7 to 10, I believe. I don't know. That computer is dead. I don't know what operating system on it. It might be 10, it might be 7. Anyhow, did the data backup, did the clean install of 10. I much prefer a clean install to upgrade this PC option any day, but some things are easier for some people to do other ways. I don't know. Pick your battle. Pick which hill you want to fight and possibly not die on, but lose that battle and have to battle another day. You know, pick which hill it is you want to be on. Got that done. Clean install Windows 10. Scanned the data while installing. Restored the clean data back to said computer. Now we have drivers and a BIOS update left to do. And hopefully this computer will be great enough to do some more calculations and computing and browsing on Flat Earth again. So, yeah, you know, hopefully. Alright, that being said, that's that. I'm getting out of here. I will see you at a later date and time. Tomorrow, we're going to come back and do something fun. I don't know what yet, but something fun. If this is your thing, you do this, you love this, your hobby, your passion, share it, get it out there, give somebody a hand with it. Like this, share this, help get this out there. That goofy SD card problem may help somebody else out there. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It may help somebody with a similar driver problem. Maybe the install. Who knows? You never know what will. You try this guide and it fails because it's written goofy, or my super convoluted and extremely easy to get lost mess of a live stream that I do. It may make sense to somebody else. So yeah, share it, like it, get it out there. If this is your thing, give somebody a hand when they need it. We can't expect the whole world to know, and I don't think those of us that understand this stuff know everything else about everything. So yeah, have a good evening or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, whatever time it is. Fix something, make it work again, and I will see you tomorrow. We gotta find the button to get out of here. We need the button. Is it that one? It is that one. As always, we're cleaning up. We're getting out of here. Drink it if you got it. Need more coffee. We're out. We're out. Oh no.